So now that we know the best way to work ourselves out of a ridiculous caloric deficit is reverse dieting, now let's talk about training while you're reverse dieting. So let's say in the restrictive area for the last time, sport-specific sports, getting on stage for bodybuilding, wedding, travel, whatever. Let's say you're eating 1,200 calories, okay? You're eating 1,200 calories a day, okay, every day leading up to whatever activity you had to do. And so let's say that, day one of your reverse diet, we're going to go up to 1,300, okay, 1,300 calories a day. And we're going to do that for the first 7 days. And then next week, we're going to go 1,400 a day, okay? Then next week, we're going to go 1,500 a day. Next week, we're going to go 1,600 a day. And so let's say that this is what we're doing. So that means that over 7 days, this is an increase of another 700 calories, right? This is an increase of also then another 700 calories. So that means that in literally 4 weeks, our weekly intake, so starting, week 4, or the end of week 4, right? That is in 2,800 more calories per week than when we were being restrictive. So what does this mean for training? What this means is that on the training side, you've got to also take your training proportionally. I would not recommend you coming in and on this, you're doing 15 to 20 sets, right, at RPE 8 or 9, okay? Let's say that you're doing that, right, and obviously every 5th week, right, every 5th week we're looking at a deload, every 4th, 5th, 6th week, whatever. But let's say that you have 15 to 20 sets at RPE 8 or 9, like normal, let's call it normal RPE 8 or 9, okay? We have like 1 or 2 reps left in the tank, right? If you were doing that, and this is let's say this was normal pre-diet, okay, and before, so really, let's work back. Let's say you're getting 2,800 calories, okay? Whoa. You were dieting at 1,200 a day. You're dieting at 1,200 a day, but you usually get 2,800. That's going to be a aggressive drop down in energy and everything else. So let's say you have a normal RPE 8-9 for the majority of the exercise that you're doing when you're not dieting. Well, when you start dieting like that, you're going to want to then establish, maybe you work still off RPE 8 or 9, but you don't work off of what your normal RPE 8 or 9 is. You work off of how you're feeling, right, on the new calories. I mean, going from 2,800 calories a day, right, down to 1,200, I mean, we're talking about a loss of 1,600 a day, okay? Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem, but it is something to keep in mind that 1,600 calorie a day loss every single day is going to put you in a place where stuff is going to be harder. The 70s on bench or, 225 on back squat is going to feel a whole lot different eating 1,200 calories as opposed to eating 2,800 calories. So my recommendation on training for all of this is that not only when you're doing a bigger cut, you can still use the same metric, RP 8, 9, RP whatever, to write your workouts. But I do want you to keep in mind that the rate of perceived, okay, again, perceived, RPE, rate of perceived exertion, the perceived exertion will become higher on lower calories, right? It will absolutely become higher. So how do we maybe combat this a little bit? Well, maybe eat more carbs, still in your allotment that you were allowing yourself, which I don't condone jumping down that low, but hey, do you? We're already here. Maybe you pocket some of those calories from your carbs around your workout time. It'll give you the best likelihood that you can get closer to the same amount of work here, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be lowering the standard at which we're moving day in, day out, even while we are dieting. But you also should be aware that, the rate of perceived exertion, like the same weight on 1,200 calories is going to be a lot harder for you than it is on 2,800 calories. Now, of course, quality matters, right? On the calories, right? Is it mostly fat? Is it mostly carbs? Is it mostly protein? Is it mostly starches? Is it mostly veggies? What does that look like? I like to get somewhere between 25 and 50 grams of carbs before I work out. like 30 minutes to an hour before. And that seems to be, no matter what I've had in the day, that seems to really rock 'em sock 'em for me, where my sessions are super solid. So while we're talking about training on this reverse diet, let's say we only increase them every week, we're increasing them by 100. Just make sure that you keep in tune with this RP 8 or 9 for how you feel today, and you drop the ego. Because if you can drop the ego and you can still hit RP 8, 9 when you need to, when you're reverse dieting, you'll be able to continue to progress in the gym, and it'll give you psychological wins. So don't think that you got to go the same weight that felt like 8 or 9 on the RPE scale when you're eating 2,800 calories. That doesn't have to be the same weight at 1,200. You can do less, and I would recommend that you just find something that works for you, right? We're talking about consistency. Daily deposits over, once every 10 days, spending 4 hours in the gym. Daily deposits, it'll do a whole lot more for you than just physiologically. And yeah, that's where I would go. Training on a reverse diet.